What's going on, everyone? This is my match recap and player ratings for yesterday's game. Manchester United 3, Arsenal 2. Look, the first half, very dodgy and not convincing the first half. Second half, we were a lot better. Two Ronaldo goals, obviously, and a Bruno. The first goal for Arsenal, Fred tackles De Gea, injures him. He's laying in the goal and Smith Rowe strikes and he scores. It's a little bit unfortunate, but at the same time, whilst you could argue that shouldn't have stood because De Gea is not active to react to the shot, it's not like an Arsenal player tackled De Gea. We tackled our own player. Fred tackled his own goalkeeper. So that's on us. If we make that mistake, and the opponent will capitalise on it. And I think it would have been unfair if Arsenal didn't get that goal given to him, because it was from one of our mistakes, not something that they did to us. So I think it was the right decision, even though it's a little bit, you could argue a little bit. I do think it was the right decision. And ultimately, it doesn't matter in the end because we get the 3 points. As I said, though, the first half, not great, hits and misses, and the second half was a lot better. My hair this morning, crazy. Player ratings, David De Gea, I'd give a 6, just above average. Made a few good saves, wasn't too busy. Obviously got injured by Fred and for the first goal, couldn't do anything about it, wasn't aware of what was going on. But I thought he was good, so I give him a 6. Delo, for me, just spoiler alert, was my man of the match. He had a few times where he looked lively. Ronaldo put him down just inside the box on the right at one point, and he crossed it in. And then another time he cut on inside and went onto his left foot and took a shot, which the keeper saved pretty easily, but you don't see Wan-Bissaka ever doing that. So Wan-Bissaka doesn't seem to have a left foot, and Delo looks a little bit more two-footed, or quite a bit more two-footed. And I liked that, even though it was kind of straight at the keeper. It was positive, and I thought Delo was one of our most positive players last night. I haven't been impressed with him when he has featured at times, but I would like to see more of him and him be given more of a chance going forward. So I'd give him a 6. Lindelof, I'd give an average. A couple times where he could maybe do a bit better with like a header or block or positioning, but I think he was pretty steady, so I'd give him an average of a 5. Maguire, I don't think had a great game. I didn't like his positioning, how high up he gets, because he's not got the pace to do it. If you play a high line and he's trying to do like runs that Rudiger does for Chelsea, Rudiger can do that because he's got pace to recover. Maguire doesn't have that pace. Now, we got away with it last night a little bit, but I've seen in the past where we haven't, and in the future we won't, because he can't get any faster than he is. So he does worry me when he goes forward on them runs, because he doesn't have the pace to recover if the other team counter. And I don't think he was brilliant, to be honest. So I'd give him a just below average with a 4. Tellez, I thought, did okay. There was a lot of action down his side, but I think he held his own well enough. And I heard a few people not too happy with him, but I thought he had a pretty good game. But I'd give him an average. I'd give him a 5. McTominay, I would give a 3 to. Again, the same stuff from him, sideways and backwards passing. There was a point where he actually drove forward with the ball, and you're like, this is better, but then he immediately passed back even as he's going forward. So that is a huge problem with McTominay, and it's going to be interesting to see with Ranić coming in now if that's going to change. I'm going to speak about Ranić in a minute, because obviously he had his first press conference this morning. I'll get into that in a minute. McTominay, for me, I would give a 3. One of the goals, he could close one of the players down a bit quicker as well. And I just don't think he's good enough. So McTominay, for me, would get a 3. Fred, I'd give a 6 to. I thought, obviously, injuring De Gea, I was like, oh my God. And he did have a few moments where he's giving the ball away in dangerous areas and just unforced errors, giving it away as well. But he was involved in a couple of the goals. So he got the assist for the Bruno goal. And I thought that was very good vision of him, because he has to kind of see him out the corner of his peripheral or behind him even. And I thought he did very well for that assist. And he looked lively. And I think like he was involved and he was positive at times. And I'm going to give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt and give him a just above average with a 6. But still shaky on the defensive side. But going forward and attacking, he was a bit better, I think. Sancho, I'd give an average to. He had glimpses where he looked good. He obviously passed the ball to Fred, who set up Bruno. So he was involved in that goal. But I don't feel like we got him on the ball enough. I didn't feel like he was involved enough to affect the game properly. So for me, I'd give him an average of a 5. Bruno, I would also give an average to as well. Yes, he got the goal, but again, I don't think he really affected the game. It wasn't one of his best games he's had. He's not influencing games like he was, I don't think. So for me, Bruno would get a 5, an average. Rashford, I'd give him a 5 as well, average. Again, frustrating. There's times where it looks positive with him, but he frustrates me with his decision-making in key moments and key areas. He'll put his head down and just drive at people instead of doing a simple ball or playing to the man in space, and we lose the ball because of it. Had one good shot, or I say good shot, it was kind of straight at the keeper, but yeah, he's just a lot better than he's showing, and it's frustrating with him because he's not getting any younger, and obviously he's not majorly old, but at some point we need to see some progress, and I don't feel like he's really gone up that next step. So for me, I give him an average. Ronaldo, for me, there was a couple bicycle kicks he did that I'm thinking, I don't know why you're doing this right now, because both times he did it, we were either losing or drawing, I think. We wasn't even ahead in the game, and it was frustrating me because I'm like, we need to get a goal back first before you're trying all that stuff and doing that, and from the areas he was doing it as well. So it was frustrating me with that, but then I feel like, obviously, he scored the penalty and got the other goal as well. But I feel like he had a pretty average game, but I bumped it just above average because he got 2 goals. So I'd give him a 6, but not the best from Ronaldo, but still one of the better performances because of the goals. And then the subs, we've got Donny, Lingard and Martial. Donny and Martial I give an average to. Didn't have a ton of time. And Lingard, I would have given him an average as well, but there was one point where he had an opportunity to attack down the left, and I think he just got into the box, and he should have waited, held the ball up a little bit and wait for runners to come in. Instead, he put just a sort of hopeful ball across the box that didn't do anything, and Arsenal recovered, and I thought it was a bit poor from him because he just needs a bit more patience there instead of rushing it and just hold the ball up a little bit. So for that, I bumped it down slightly to just under average. I give him a 4. And then Carrick obviously resigned last night as well after the game. A legend for the club as a player, but similar to Ollie, didn't work out as a coach and manager. So for me, I think it was the right decision. He took it on his own head to resign. Ranić said in a press conference today that he spoke to him a couple of days ago and tried to convince him to stay, but he'd already made his mind up. I think it's the right decision that he's going, and I think it bodes well for Ranić, even though he wants experience and people that have been at the club for years. I think it's a good thing because it allows Ranić to have more of a say instead of getting too influenced by what Carrick would say, because I don't think it worked with Carrick. He did a good job taking over from Ollie for them few games, but the football didn't change really, not drastically. We got good results, but I'm waiting to see this style of play now and the change of play, and I'm excited for it. So Carrick I would give a 4 to. We got a great result yesterday against Arsenal, who were in better form than us recently, but for me, the way that we play, the first half performance, the tactics as well, certain players getting picked over others, not great, and I think Carrick, it was below average, so I would give a 4, even though we got a great result. Speaking on Ranić, had his first press conference this morning. I thought it was thoroughly enjoyable. I liked how he answered questions. He didn't seem to dodge questions like Ollie did or Carrick. He knows a lot about the club and its history. He said that he won't be able to affect physical change yet because the players, he's only got one training session with the players, and the ones that played yesterday, obviously he can't, they're training today, but he said he can't speak or get on the field with them because they've obviously got a rest day today because they played yesterday. So we got to wait for that to see what he's going to implement and do on the training ground with them. But he answered a question about how far off we are from Liverpool and Chelsea and City, and he did give an answer that I liked, where he said that Klopp, when he took over at Liverpool, he said that no way did they have a better squad than United currently have, and I totally agree with that. I think on paper and names, we do have a better squad than the original one that Klopp took over from at Liverpool. Now, football doesn't always work like that because you have to build chemistry and fluidity, and doesn't necessarily mean because you've got star players that you're going to be a better team than that team. But there's a good chance that we could be, depending on how the players react. So it's exciting. I like the way, as I said, he answered questions. And I'm excited for the future. Look, it may not work, but I think the change was needed. It's going to be good for the club. And his influence on the club, I think, is what we need desperately. I thought it was a breath of fresh air, that press conference this morning. And I'm excited about it. So, man of the match for yesterday, I'm going to give it to Delo. A lot of people on the website gave it to Ronaldo for the 2 goals, which doesn't hugely surprise me. But I felt like he had a pretty average game. But for me, I thought Delo was quality. So Delo is my man of the match for yesterday. But yeah, I'm excited for a new future with Ranić. Going to need a little bit of patience and time because it's not going to happen overnight, this style of play and the pressing and philosophy. And some of the players ain't going to like how he is and his way of thinking, and he's not mates with anyone like Ollie was or Carrick was. And I think that change was needed at the club because too many players were too comfortable. And it was shown on the field in terms of fighting and results and passion. So for me, I think it was much needed. I'm very excited to see what he's going to do. And I can't wait to listen to more press conferences because let me fill you in on something as well. I never listened to a press conference really other than a couple of Ollie that Ollie did. And I didn't listen to any that Carrick did other than the first one he did because they were boring. They dodged questions. They were mates with players. It was too comfortable. And they didn't take criticism when they should have, and looked at themselves when they should have. So I don't see that with Ranić already after one press conference. So I'm excited. I feel the change was needed, and I can't wait to get going with it and see what happens. I'll be back today with another Premier League predictions for tomorrow's set of games, and look out for my top 10 video as well, dropping very soon as well. And I'll see you guys soon.